Hello, welcome back to the Board Games 4K YouTube channel, and this is a channel where we give you reviews, playthroughs, unboxings, and we generally talk a lot of bollocks about tabletop gaming in general. And in this video we're going to be talking about two things. We're going to be talking about the board game, the Dudes on the Map board game, Innis, and its expansion, the Seasons of Innis. And this is a sort of Dudes on the Map area control game with card play and card drafting that sees you trying to fulfill one of 3 victory conditions before your opponents do. And in this video, we're going to be giving you a very brief overview of the rules of the base game and also the Seasons of Innis expansion. We'll be telling you what we do like, what we don't like, and then we will come back and we'll tell you whether or not Innis is still worth playing today and whether or not the expansion is worth buying to complement the base game. So if you're new here, then please consider subscribing to our channel. Leave a comment in that section down below, and we'll see you after this.
Board Games 4K.
So, Innis, or Inish, if you want to be a pronunciation geek. How'd you play this game? So this game takes place over 2 phases. You've got the first phase, which is the assembly phase. And in this phase, what you do, you'll assign the Bren, who is essentially the first player. What you'll do, you'll check to see whether or not anyone's actually fulfilled one of the 3 victory conditions. And then you'll take advantage cards based upon whether or not you have majority in a certain location, and every location has an advantage card associated with it. And obviously if you've got the most dudes in that location, then you will take the advantage cards, and advantage cards act as like an action that you can take during your turn that will give you a benefit to your strategy. So next thing you'll do, you will flip the flock of crows. You'll flip the flock of crows token, and this will tell you which way round, either clockwise or anti-clockwise, which way the turn order will go. And it's basically just flipping a coin. That's all it is. So next thing you'll do, you will deal out action cards. You'll deal out 4 action cards to each player, and you might take some out based on the player count that you got. And then what you'll do, you'll, at the hand of cards you got, you'll keep 1 and then you'll pass the rest on, and then put the 1 that you set aside back into your hand. You'll keep 2, pass them on, then you'll keep 3, and then you'll take the 4th one. And everyone will have 4 cards in their hand. And before you do this, what you'll do is you'll take 1 card out of the deck and you'll place it set aside. And based on what cards come out, you may be able to take control of that card that you set aside during the game. So once you've done the drafting, then you will move on to phase 2, and that is the seasons phase. In this phase, you'll either play a season card, you will pass, or you will take a pretender token. And when you play a season card, you've got 2 types of season cards that you can play. You've got action cards and you've got Triskel cards. And action cards are exactly that. They allow you to take an action, and Triskel cards will allow you to react to an action. It will tell you on the card when you can play the Triskel card. So if you pass, you can come back in when your turn comes around again. You don't have to pass, but once everybody's passed, then the round will end. So if you think that you have fulfilled one of the 3 victory conditions, then you will take a pretender token, and then it's up to the other players to prevent you from winning the game by the end of the round. So there's 3 victory conditions in this game, and obviously if you take a pretender token, then you will feel that you have fulfilled one of these 3 victory conditions. So the first victory condition is you need to be present in 6 different territories. So the second victory condition is that you need to be chieftain over 6 or more opposing clans, and the final victory condition is that you need to be present in 6 or more territories where there is a sanctuary. And if you feel that if you feel that you've fulfilled that victory condition, you'll take a pretender token, and it's up to the other players then to stop you from holding on to that victory condition by the end of the round. So if you or anyone else moves into a territory where there's already somebody present, then a clash will occur, and whoever instigates the clash will be called the instigator, right? And then you can come to an agreement amongst yourselves to say whether or not you want to have a scrap. And if one person decides they want to have a fight, then the opposing person will either have to remove one of their clans from that territory or give up an action card, right? Then it will go on to the next player, and they'll do the same. They could either withdraw one of their pieces to an adjacent territory where they are chieftain, or if they can't do that, then they will have to agree to end the clash. So this will carry on until there's only one person left in the territory. And also at the beginning of the phase, if there's a free space in any of the citadels or cities, then the person who's next to the instigator in turn order will be able to place one of their clans in that territory, and they're protected for the duration of the clash. So this will carry on until all players agree to end the clash, or there's no exposed clans, i.e. there's no clans that have got protection left in the territory. There's also components called D tokens. These are like the little green harp things, and what they do, they count towards one of the component parts of each victory condition. So say if you're present in only 5 territories and you've got a D token, that would mean that you are now present in 6, and then you can take a pretender token. Whoopity-doo-dah. So at the end of the game comes when you go through the assembly phase and you find that you've got a pretender token, and that means you win the game. If 2 people have got pretender tokens, then if one of them's the Brendan, they will win. So if not, then they're tied, and you carry on playing until you break that tie, right? So we're going to talk a little bit about the expansion, what it adds. It adds a 5th player, which is always good. It adds a very small module called We Want the King, and what this essentially does, it condenses the game down into a shorter variant for when you're playing with 5 players. We haven't played with this, so we can't really talk about it, but it's nice to have it there if you feel that the game with 5 players is going to take too long. So the next thing the expansion adds is the Seasons of Innis module, and what you'll do, you'll add an extra phase, the Seasons phase, in the assembly round. And what you'll do, you'll consult the season wheel, and then you'll look at the cheat sheet, and it will tell you what happens in the assembly phase and an overall modification to what happens in the game. So you might have something like that you can't move more than 3 troops into a territory for the whole of that round, and various other things. So yeah, that adds sort of extra sort of game breaking rules to the game without overcomplicating matters. So the next thing it adds is extra tiles, and you swap out the cove tile and another tile for a new tile, and this adds islands to the game, and seafaring. So if you draw an island tile, you'll place it. The island tiles, according to the rulebook, cannot be placed adjacent to any other tile, and then you'll place a harbour in one of the recesses in the tile, and once you've got 2 islands or more on the board, all those harbour tiles are considered adjacent, right? So yeah, so the islands is a sort of a module that tries to expand the amount of territories that have become available during the game, right? And the final thing in the expansion is it gives you some extra epic tale cards, and that's always good. We always like more stuff, so yeah, that's essentially what is in the expansion. We've done an unboxing for this. If you want to see exactly what is included in this expansion, then go and check that out. So yeah, that's roughly how you play Innis with the expansion Seasons of Innis. Right, so what do we like about Innis / Seasons of Innis? So the first thing that we really like about this is the wonderful artwork that is prevalent in this game, and it really does capture the essence of that sort of Old English sort of Celtic feel. Yeah, it's original, it's very, very detailed, and it's very, very highly thematic for this game. So the second thing that we really enjoy about this one is the card drafting mechanism, and this ensures that you get at least 2 decent cards for each round. So you'll be looking at 4 cards, you'll be taking 1, and so you'll be taking the best card that you want, and obviously the chances are that the cards that are being handed to you are going to contain at least 1 card. And when you get onto the 3rd and 4th pass of the card drafting round, you know that you're just going to be getting the tat that's left over, right? So you're going to get at least 2 decent cards, and that sets you up nicely for the rest of the round. So the next thing that we really enjoy about this is the way that the game changes on a sixpence very, very rapidly. And when we played this the other day, we found that the leader, or the apparent leader in each of the rounds, swaps out real quick. So we had Gav, who seemed really strong. It seemed like he was going to branch out and win it real quick, but I think my mum played an epic tail card, took him out, and then it all swapped round, and then Julie was in the lead, and then I thought I was going to come in. So the fact that this game changes, the leader or the apparent leader of the game changes real quick, and things can change really quickly, means that you've always got to have at least one other strategy parked in the back of your mind, ready for when that next change comes, right? So it keeps you on your toes. So the final thing that we're going to talk about, there's lots to like about this, but we can't go on forever. So the final thing we're going to talk about is the epic tale cards add a nice unknown quantity to the game, and some of these are really powerful. You might have an epic tale card that allows you to swap out one of your clans for somebody else's, and that's really, really powerful. So, and the fact that you keep these in your hand rather than put them back at the end of the round means that you could build up this nice little portfolio sort of thing of these epic tale cards ready for when you want to pounce. So yeah, we really love the epic tale cards. So what don't we like about Innis and Seasons of Innis? So the first thing that we feel is really lacking, that is missing in this game, is the fact that there's none of these sort of monsters that you can use to bring the game alive. And you look at games like Kemet or Cyclades, Blood Rage, Rise and Sun, they've all got these. I'm not talking about the miniatures, don't worry about the miniatures, but they've all got these monsters that you can bring out and put on a board. But this game does not have that. So it feels incomplete in a sense, because it's just these little plastic miniatures on a board and you're playing cards to move them around, and that's it. So there's none of these real epic monsters that you can bring out to really crush your opponent, and that's one of the things that we find really disappointing about this game, and that's one of the things that the expansion is sorely lacking. It could have introduced some kind of game-breaking monster element to this, and it didn't. So the second thing that we find frustrating about this and any of these sort of card-based games is when you've got a huge amount of text on these cards, it's open to interpretation, and you're going to have the FAQ for this could be as long as a roll of toilet paper, right? Because we found ourselves reading the card text and thinking, what does that mean? Does this mean this? Does this mean that? What does it mean? Let's have a look on Board Game Geek. I still don't know. Well, it must mean this. So you're just throwing things out there, weighing in the wind, hoping that it misses your legs, right? So it's a real frustration with these types of games. Huge amounts of card text is completely and utterly unclear, right? So another thing that we find annoying about this is that we were led to believe that this game could be completed in half an hour, 45 minutes, and it's not. It could take up to 3 hours to get through this due to the push me pull you nature of this one. So like we said, where it changes so quickly, you might think you're close to victory and then it's pulled away from you, and then somebody else might get, and it keeps going back and forth, and eventually in our game we thought, when's this going to end? And then it just ended real quick. So it's really annoying that the game goes on, you never know what's going to end, and then suddenly bang, out of the blue it's done, right? So it's a bit disjointed in that sense. So talking about the expansion, what we found annoying about the expansion is that the islands make no sense whatsoever, because in the book there's this one line that tells you to set them aside for the setup, but it doesn't tell you not to include them in the setup, right? So that's I found that a bit weird that we messed that up. And also in the rule book it tells you that they're not considered, they're not adjacent, they can't be placed adjacent to any other location. So how'd you get on them then? How'd you get on the islands if they're not adjacent to anything? If you're placing one island out there, have you got to wait for the epic tale cards to tell you to hop onto these islands? And it doesn't make any sense whatsoever. And in the rule book, then you've got a picture telling you that these islands aren't adjacent. You've got a picture showing you that islands that are adjacent to normal territory. So it makes absolutely no sense. Maybe we've missed something out here. Maybe we missed something in the rule book. I don't know. But the island mechanism, we ended up just chucking them out when we played this. We thought, oh, it's an island. We're not going to do that. We're not going to do that. And this is one of the main portions of the expansion that is completely unclear. So we need clarification on this. If you've got any ideas how the island really works officially, then please leave a comment down below and please put us out of our misery. So the final thing that we're going to moan about with Innis, and we've already spoken about this in a sense, is that it feels kind of empty. You know, it's just these little plastic miniatures that you're pushing around a map with this card play, and it just feels a little bit incomplete, and it doesn't have that grandiose nature of other games in the Matagot big box series, right? So it's almost like a sort of a poor man's version of Kemet and Cyclades, and that's a real shame because the game itself isn't that bad at all. So to summarise, is Innis worth playing today? And is Seasons of Innis worth buying to complement your core experience of this one? So Innis, to start with, is an interesting and engaging variation on the dudes on the map theme. Okay, it suffers from that big hitting monster element that you find in the other Matagot big box games, and also the sort of Eric Lang games that you've got like Rise and Sun, Blood Rage. It doesn't have any of those monsters that you can put in there to really shake the game up, to really waken you up from this game. It was sort of maybe puts you to sleep a little bit. I don't know. insofar as the Seasons of Innis expansion is concerned, it simply doesn't have enough content here to warrant putting it into the core game, because it extends the game quite a lot unless you're playing with that We Want a King variant. And okay, the islands just isn't enough. There's too much confusion there. The Seasons of Innis expansion is a bit lazy. It's just essentially just this happens in this season, and then you move on to the next season, and then this happens. So you could just have a card for that. I mean, it's just that's pretty weak. Unless you really want to play this with 5 players, then it's really not worth bothering with the expansion. So it's just not enough content. And is it worth paying 25-30 quid just for a bunch of miniatures? No, it ain't. So I think Innis worked best as 4. So in our opinion, the Seasons of Innis expansion is a bit of a missed opportunity. There's just not enough in there to warrant a purchase today, right? So yeah, we like the game. We do enjoy playing this one, but there's the problem of why would we play this when you can play Kemet or Cyclades or Blood Rage or Rising Sun? We'd rather play those games than this one, and that's a real shame. They could. I mean, the expansion has been in production for quite a while, and they really could have elevated this game up like they did with Cyclades with the Titans expansion. They really did ramp up the replayability and gave you another reason to play that game. But they didn't do that with this one. They added a few cards. They added this weird island tiles and that don't really work. They give you a 5th player, but that will mean that the game either is too long or you're going to have to use this variant to condense it down. So there you go. That's Innis. That's Seasons of Innis. We're going to give it 3.5 stars out of 5 because it's still just an average dudes on the map game that is worth looking at, but only if you're desperate for more of the same stuff that you've already got. So that's it. So if you're new here, then please consider subscribing to our channel. Leave a comment in the section down below, and we'll see you next time.